In that time, our world has taken so many steps in the wrong direction. In the negative utopia, science, technology, social organization, dehumanization. In the negative utopia, science, technology, social organization. Technology, social organization, dehumanization.
Medio Ball by Vincenzo Viceversa, opening theme for the Leo Zagami show. Leo and Chris. Welcome everybody. Welcome to the Zagami hope you have a great week. We have an even better one.
Guess who's American?
Yes.
Who said
Ladies
it?
and
I said it.
gentlemen, Leo Zagami this week became American. And first of all, we need to specify in a legal way, because there is a lot of talk these days about people coming across the border. I had to wait many years, had to go through many bureaucratic proceedings, but in the end I became American.
Technology, social organization.
So thank you again to Vincenzo Viceversa for the music. He's also the author of our wonderful book covers. And also thanks to TelePandemia for all the visuals, the opening visuals that really set the tone for the show. And today, I celebrate my first show as an American citizen. And me and Christy had this wonderful adventure this week.
And we would love to share it with you.
We would love to share with you the highlights of it. So I hope you don't mind that we include amongst the news of the day also the news of my newly acquired citizenship.
He worked really, really hard. We studied every day for a month.
Yes, there is 100 questions that one needs to study, but I was given 200 because on top of that, they basically gave me a really hard time on the fact
he got the third degree, guys.
The third degree on the fact that I'm an aristocrat. And so this seems to be almost a problem. Remember that America is born in 1776 as a republican identity, a republic. So maybe that was the reason for all these questions.
We separated from the Queen and Britain and all that crown
and so
stuff.
of course a lot of the interviews verge on my relation with the royal family, as I'm related to them. And there was also other questions that are not usually given to people who apply for citizenship, like my past membership in the various Masonic secret societies. I mean, it was a 1 hour, usually. I mean, from what I heard, in 20 minutes, it's over. It lasted an hour. Chrissy was starting to get worried.
I was sitting there like, I was just sitting, shaking in my chair.
Okay.
But I wasn't worried. I just thought maybe, I don't know. I always think that he's going to get kidnapped. So.
Kidnapped. Okay. But I have a few things to share with you. And of course, we have some pictures. We have some videos. First of all, I wanted to show you me and Christy on the way to San Bernardino when basically we were really excited about it. You have to understand, I mean, when you are born American, of course, you don't, maybe you don't appreciate all the...
Well, I think some people do, and I think some people don't.
Yeah.
It's just,
especially today. A
some
lot of people
do,
appreciate it.
I always
But
appreciated being
you-
American. I always appreciated it.
I think that studying the Constitution, studying the history of the United States, I really understood how there was a lot of similarities between me and the people who created this wonderful country. People who were persecuted for their religious and political beliefs came to this country and created this incredible constitution. So here we are on the way to the citizenship.
Hello, everyone. We are here on this historic day
8.9 miles. Keep right onto I-10.
when Leo Zagami becomes an American citizen. Wow, that is so cool. Well, how you feeling, Ray?
Well, it's the most important day of my life.
Mine too.
It's very exciting. Not scary, but I guess it's normal.
Oh my gosh, I'm not doing this very well. Okay. So he studied a lot, so I helped him. He knows. Okay, Ray, what is the Constitution?
The Constitution sets and
Keep right onto
defines
I-10.
the American government that protects the rights of the American people.
That's awesome. Okay, see you later.
So here was one of the many questions that you're given when you become an American. This was the study guide that I went through. And I really appreciate the fact that one has to really understand and study the history of the United States of America. I mean, I wonder, though, how many people in the United States know, for example, all the various things I had to learn, because
Well, obviously, I didn't know all that stuff. I know it now. I don't know. I come up with this voice when I'm talking sometimes. It's my 1930s voice. So.
like I remember once when Savannah went, you remember Savannah works at InfoWars, went to Tucker Carlson, and she said to Tucker that she actually learned, for example, the fact that America was divided in three main institution. You have the judiciary, you have the executive, you have the legislative, and she only learned that by working at InfoWars. So this just to give an example of how people at times maybe don't like to study and to understand really their country. But it's important to understand, because once you understand all the nuances, all the details, you really appreciate the Constitution of the United States even more. The fact that in these three words, we the people, we have really the basis of this incredible experiment that took off on the 4th of July, 1776. And in fact, when I was asked, you know, the historic questions were the first ones they gave me. And I got them all right after studying. So I want to thank Christy, because Christy went over them over and over again to make sure that I will get them right.
I was not, he said I was a Nazi because I was like, really, you need to do it like this. And I would yell.
No, but it was good. It was good. It was good. I wish, though, that they stick only to what I was required. When instead we kind of deviated, and it became even, I mean, it went really well over 100 questions. And it was also questions pertaining the history of my family, both on my mother's and on my father's side, which was pretty complex even for me. You know, at one point I said, these are things that happened 150, 200 years ago in my family. So, I mean, I'm not like, but it was interesting that I was asked these things, because it made me understand also that they need maybe to evaluate and screen people that have an aristocratic background, just to make sure maybe, you know, they're not heirs to some throne in some forgotten land. I don't know. Maybe that's the reason. But at the same time, like I said, I was given questions, and then I also had to write them down at one point. I thought they were only oral questions. That's what they usually say, that you're going to. Instead, I was also made to write down the answers to certain questions, and I was required a lot of other stuff, but in the end, it was all satisfactory, because they invited me to go downstairs and immediately take the oath. The moment which I have the Star-Spangled Banner.
Oh God, that was so hard. I was like, what's the national anthem? He came up with Star-Spangled so many things. I'm like, no, Star whatever, banner, Star this banner. He couldn't get spangled.
Pledge of Allegiance, the Oath of Allegiance, which is very important. And then ultimately you get the naturalization, which basically certifies that you are an American. This was just a few minutes before I gave my oath of allegiance, and I think this was a very important moment for me. It got emotional. The most important day of my life. I'm here to give the oath of allegiance, finally become American.
I helped him. I helped him with all of his questions, and he got them all right.
Yeah, absolutely.
And look, he's gonna take this. Oh my God, everybody, I want to cry so bad. I'm telling you, I want to cry so bad. Am I gonna look ugly like fish eye on this?
No, I don't think so. In any case, with honor and integrity, we will safeguard the American people, our homeland, and our values.
Okay, do one without me.
Guys, I am American now. This is a great start. Well, yeah, I'm taking off, but it's a few minutes before. So I'm nearly there. I'm nearly there. They didn't let us film the actual ceremony. I asked if we could, because I was with other 3 people. They might, for privacy reasons, forbid that. But like I said earlier, maybe some Americans don't appreciate, but a lot of Americans appreciate the values of the Constitution, the values of
everybody
America.
That's fighting for America right now appreciates the Constitution.
Let's say that
we do.
Half of America that follows Joe Biden, unfortunately.
And this guy.
Tomorrow they will say, Donald Trump rants and raves at the press.
I never does the right one.
It's good. It's good. So what happens here? I became American, and that was followed by my reaction to it. I was finally American, so I was very happy. This was me. Immediately after.
Okay.
I'm now a citizen of the United States of America. Thanks, Christy, and thanks to all the people who have supported me in this journey. Finally today. I pledge allegiance to the flag, and I'm now a United States citizen. This is the biggest honor in my life and the most important day ever. Thank you so much. God bless America. Wow. I was really... And it is it was the most important day of my life. I mean, you have to understand, for a few years I lived really without a citizenship. Italy is the country which has persecuted me, Christy, and let's straighten up this, because otherwise people say that we have put the
Crooked Vatican.
Yes,
It is crooked though.
And so for many years I was living in a limbo without having really a country. The Italian authorities were not even bothered to register me here as a citizen. It was just like, I mean, these people are just out of order. The corruption of Italy. A lot of people say, but Italy is a wonderful place. Europe is great. You have to understand, the guys.
I was treated very bad.
No.
Yeah, I was.
Yes, no, but let me finish what I'm saying. It's very important here. When you go in Europe as a tourist is one thing. When you live in Europe, and you, for example, Christy, are saying that because you lived in Europe, then that's the difference. The difference is when you actually live in Europe, and you live in countries like Italy. Well, that was a bunch of crap. So I mean, it's great to go there as a tourist. I will highly recommend it. But
yeah, just go as a tourist. Don't try to live there.
Why
would anybody try to go there and live?
No, it is really risky. And
it's a third world country.
I mean, but remember, if you go there as an American, you're still an American. So you are protected by...
You're supposed to be.
You're supposed to, protected. And, when you had your problem there...
They pulled me out of the shower in a hotel.
But when you were there, Christian, you had that problem. We were said after that you should have called the embassy. So... I mean,
you should have called them.
Well, but we didn't for other reasons that I will explain you in private. Here we go with another. I'm finally American. Thanks to all the beautiful people that made it possible. I'm here with honor and integrity. We will safeguard the American people, our homeland, and our values. I'm American now. This is incredible. God bless America. Hi, Christy. I love Christy.
Always animated.
No, I mean, it's very important that people understand that in Europe today, with what is happening with the war and everything, Europe is not only a safe and it's not any longer a safe place, but it's also a place that persecutes its citizens. We saw it during the pandemic also. So I mean, Europe is the last place you want to be living if you are going to live abroad. You might want to choose another place. I highly recommend another place.
And
just
so stay here.
No, but I mean, visiting as a tourist is different. And that's why, sorry if I interrupted you earlier, but I wanted to say that. Visiting as a tourist is...
I interrupt you too.
No.
Part of our thing.
No, absolutely, no worries. But you understand why I was so passionate, because when you go there as an American with an American passport, you are treated differently.
Well, I'm American with American passport, and I was the one that was treated differently. And I just want to say my testimony that it sucked. So that's
but you're treated differently because you were no longer a tourist. You were trying to apply for a permanent residency, and that was
with him.
With me,
to help him do his work, and they didn't like that very much, and so they found a way to pull me out of the hotel room in the shower when I had wet hair and I couldn't even get ready, and they dragged me down like I was, and everybody in the lobby probably thought I was a prostitute. They took me out, and I had to go to the Questura and spend the day there, and it was really crap. And then they basically deported me, and then I told them to F off, and then I got a lawyer, and I stayed. So
that's the thing.
Because you can stay if you get a lawyer.
Actually, that was the thing I want to tell you. we didn't call the embassy because probably they would have told you just go back to America.
Yeah, they would.
And at that point, it would have been very difficult because at the time we were not married when that happened.
No.
The only thing that I kind of dislike of the whole thing, but I mean, it's, it depends on who is the president. You have a message from President Biden. Some people who got it during the Trump administration will have a message from President Trump. I would have probably found that more suitable for my person. But however, it was still a great experience. And I mean, and I think that actually we both enjoyed it. And I want to thank all those people who in the last few years believed in our work and made it possible for us to live here by supporting the show, sponsoring today. Who are our sponsors, for example?
We have two sponsors, Bruce and Margarizata.
Bruce Kodish and Margarizata?
Minzat.
Okay, perfect. Now, remember, you can sponsor this show and you can do it anonymously or publicly. And you can do it, of course, through GoFundMe or through Cash App. This was the last clip of the event. I find it quite funny and nice.
Oh, yeah, I'm recording now.
I like there was the music in the back.
Yeah, that was really nice.
Yes. Okay, so I mean, we went on for 20 minutes talking about it, but you have to understand it was something I was waiting for a very long time, and me and Christy, of course, were kind of living in a limbo because of this situation, and now we are much more happy. Christy?
Yeah, we would have stayed here anyway, though. We were in limbo. We were going to stay here.
But of course,
I ain't leaving this country ever again.
Yeah, I guess that. But
No,
without
thank
being
you.
American, it would have been very difficult. Because you see, I want to participate to the political life of America. I want to be an active citizen. I want to enroll in the Republican Party, for example. I want to be somebody who is able to vote for the most important elections in the history of the United States, which will be taking place this year. So, of course, it's only one vote, but my vote will definitely be for Donald J. Trump. So
that's 2 votes now.
So that's 2 votes here in California. And we have also, of course, the Senate race with the Steve Garvey, which is competing against Shifty Shift. People criticize a lot the political system because it seems corrupt beyond, repair. But you have to understand that the political system and the rights and privileges that you have here in the United States are really incredible compared to other countries. There is no other republic in the world which I will take an oath to. I tell you, there's no other republic.
It's just wonderful, this country. My country, 'tis of thee. Is your flag over
I mean, of course, apart from Trump, most other the actual flag that they.
Oh, you put it there.
Yes, because I wanted to show you. They give you this flag. The immigration authorities give you this little flag. See if you can see it. And this, of course, will always be a very precious flag for me. It was emotional for me to become American, and it is.
He's only American too. That's it. He's not keeping any other.
No,
passport.
you see, other people. I mean, apart from the fact that you declare on your oath and your pledge that you are actually giving up on any other allegiance to any other country, but it's very important for me also now to formally renounced to the Italian citizenship, which is basically connected to that European technocratic nightmare. Europe is a dictatorship under Nazi Germany. This is the truth.
Yes.
Like I wrote and I explained in volume 7 of my Confessions, the Reich is still alive. It's the Fourth Reich and it's the EU. This is how it is. And you better believe me because I live there. So you can actually go there, have a nice pasta, pizza, mandolin, whatever. You can have fun in Italy as a tourist. You can have fun in Germany as a tourist. You can have fun in France as a tourist. But for how long, we don't know, because Macron is pushing for World War III and is doing it once again. So here we have a clip of Emmanuel Macron, the French president, that is it really demonstrates how Europe, and I hope that with Trump things will change for Europe, but it's possible that Europe will go its own way because they are completely lost in their woke technocratic nightmare. So here is Macron that once again is pushing for boots on the ground in Ukraine, and that will mean, of course, World War III.
Bonsoir.
On Thursday at the Élysée Palace, President Macron not only refused to rule out the idea of French boots on the Ukrainian ground, but doubled down, saying that fixing a limit on what France would do to stop Russia would be a sign of weakness.
I could say to you tonight, it's far away, we are for peace. But those who say that, the same people who don't want to support Ukraine, they are not choosing peace. They are choosing defeat, giving up on sovereignty. Because they're making the choice of saying, we have lines we won't cross.
He would not be drawn, though, on what it would take for France to send in troops, adding that it was not his wish, and that he was not seeking escalation.
We have limited our vocabulary too much. We are not escalating things. We are not at war with Russia, but we must not let Russia win either.
Adding that all options were on the table to assist Ukraine. The sit-down interview came after a shift in the French position earlier this year. Emmanuel Macron, having, by his own admission, been the Western leader who had spoken the most with President Putin over the years, and having said in the early months of the Russian invasion that the war must not end in a humiliation for Russia. But in February, the president signed a €3 billion bilateral security agreement with President Zelensky, soon after launching the French-led artillery coalition to help meet the needs of the struggling Ukrainian counter-offensive.
They seem to be very close, those two. Maybe too close. Anyway, Macron went on French TV and he basically started to push forward this idea that if you don't get involved directly in a confrontation to protect Ukraine, you will no longer have Europe, which is completely wrong. I mean, the security of Europe is at stake because of Ukraine. I don't know about that. I think that in the meantime, of course, the reality of these current Russian elections, which will, of course, reconfirm Vladimir Putin, shown also once again the future of places like the Donbass region, which are now firmly in the Russian Federation and are actually voting within the Russian Federation, like Crimea. So it seems impossible that these these former parts of Ukraine will go back to Ukraine in any way, because the majority of the population there is Russian, is of Russian origin. And I think that in the end, instead, we might see a sort of departition, a little bit like after the Second World War with East Germany that went to the Soviet Union, Russia, and West Germany that stayed with the Allies. I think we are going towards that kind of separation. And actually, the separation will work much better this time because when it came to Germany, it was all Germans, and they were separating really people that had shared the same ethnicity, the same language, the same culture. While instead here we have part of the country that really shares a Russian identity, another part that has this Ukrainian identity, which, like I explained in volume 9 of my Confessions, as you know, it's an artificial identity that was created in the last 200 years by the enemies of Russia, mainly Poland and Germany, and the Illuminati with a series of secret societies. And so in this book, in particular, you have the reality of the Russian, of what Russia is claiming also historically, but also the reality of this alleged Ukrainian identity. Now, continuing to support Ukraine, of course, is something that when Donald Trump goes back to the White House, he himself said he's no longer going to give a penny to Ukraine. So, well, things are definitely reaching a big change that hopefully will show to the world that Trump is a much more peaceful choice than Biden. It's always been like that. The Democrats have always been the ones that on paper show themselves as being the ones that they are into peace, into all that, but then in reality they are very much into war. Europe has a big problem, and Orban, who is of course somebody has been very much criticized lately after he visited Florida and visited President Donald J. Trump. He has made a speech. Orban, of course, is the president of Hungary. A speech that will be judged as very controversial because he says that to preserve their own sovereignty, they should occupy Brussels. They should occupy Brussels, and that is, of course, a very anti-European rhetoric for somebody who is formerly a member of the European Union. This is basically Orban a few hours ago.
Paul.
So he says that if we want to persevere, how you say it? Yeah, if you want to continue with our liberty and with our sovereignty, we need to march on Brussels. We need to occupy Brussels. I mean, I don't know. I mean, this seems pretty strong. I mean, I know it's a rhetoric, but it's a pretty strong rhetoric from Orban. In the meantime, we had, of course, the celebrations for St. Patrick. And we have a president who seems to be very proud about his Irish origins. We all have a bit of Irish blood. In fact, today we have a little bit of a green team here going on. This was another St. Patrick day at the White House filled with a very confused Biden, who guested, of course, the Prime Minister of Ireland and various Irish representatives. But like we said, very confused Joe Biden.
Folks, look, Mr. Speaker, and I want you to know that I think I just wonder whether my mother would have ever thought that would happen. My grandfather used to say that being Irish is enough. At any rate, I won't go into that. They thought I quoted Irish poets Rev because I was Irish. I don't do it for that reason, because they're the best poets in the world. That's why I quote them. possibilities for everybody. Possibilities. I was with Xi Jinping a couple of
This is the best one. I mean, this is really when he went off with one of his completely fantastic stories. Doesn't have any base, any fundament in reality. He said that basically a couple of years ago, that would bring us back to the middle of the pandemic. He was in a plateau in Tibet with Xi Jinping talking about America. I mean, this is
what about the coronavirus?
I don't know. I mean, this is pretty far out stuff. Listen from, I mean, this is what he's saying. He was in a plateau in Tibet, out of all places, with Xi Jinping 2 years ago.
Years ago on the Tibetan Plateau, and he asked me, could I define America? And I said, this is recorded by him as well. I said, yes, in one word. He said, what's that? I said, possibilities. We all know that.
I mean, he's inventing stories. I mean, he's talking about, why is he talking about Xi Jinping with the Prime Minister of Ireland for St. Patrick's Day? This is just, I mean, this is...
It's not relevant.
It's not relevant.
Neither is he.
Now, if you think that this was pretty far out, well, Biden is really far out. I mean, forget the State of the Union address that he did on some kind of drugs that brought him back to reality for an hour or two.
I don't know what that was.
Yeah, that was like...
I don't know what that was.
That was something...
Neither does anybody else.
Nobody really knows. Well, the president is pretty confused, let me tell you.
Yeah.
Mm.
Do ba 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 do boo do a boo ba do boo ba do a do ba do ba do a do ba do ba do do a do ba do ba do a do ba do ba do ba do ba do a do ba do ba do a do ba do ba do ba do a do ba do ba do ba do ba do.
Whoa, what was that about?
It's embarrassing.
I know, it's pretty. And then you have Kamala Harris.
Oh no.
Yeah, Kamala Harris. Now, Kamala Harris arrested 1,900 people for marijuana possession when she was, district attorney.
Yeah.
Okay. Now she's saying that basically nobody should go to jail for smoking weed. She sent 1,900 people to jail for smoking weed. This is what she says now.
I think we all at this table believe nobody should have to go to jail for smoking weed. And what we need to do is recognize that far too many people have been sent to jail for simple marijuana possession.
Yes, by people like you. So, I mean, this is like the hypocrisy of these people. Huh? Mm-hmm. I mean, she arrested for marijuana possession. She got sentenced 1,900 people, and now she's claiming that. I mean, these people are really hypocrites, and I don't know. In any case, if you want to help us out, here we have the GoFundMe that you can utilize. We are no longer on PayPal, we are no longer on Fundry, but we are still on GoFundMe and on Cash App. You can find the Cash App handle at leozagami.com together with all my latest articles. And of course, we will try to bring you more and more shows in the coming weeks. as this important year that is going to see this crucial election starts to, now we know that the two candidates will, but we always knew it. We always knew it. I knew it in November of 2020 that Trump would be winning 2024. People, I was insisting that people were still, let's go and protest in Washington, D.C. And that didn't turn out too well. And of course, I was always very critical about that event that unfortunately ruined the life of so many patriots. But we know that Trump will free all these people once he is in power. So we are looking forward to that because a lot of people I know, people I interviewed, people I did shows with, unfortunately ended up in that trap. So here we are with more news this time regarding Haiti, because what's happening here is that the New World Order and the Democrats have a plan. Destabilizing Haiti could actually be part of that plan, because once you destabilize Haiti, and of course the gangs have attacked also one of the main prisons, and all the prisoners left the prison, well, all those thugs, all those crooks with their guns and drugs will go on the refugee boat directly to Florida. And if Haiti collapses, all those immigrants will move to Florida. And once they move to Florida, they will change the political landscape. So they know that Florida can't be really changed as a political landscape with the current invasion that comes from Mexico. They tried, but of course,
takes them and
the
brings them to New York or wherever.
Yeah. So it was not possible. But these people, well, this is a very different situation. And we have evidence of the first ships, the first boats that are arriving from Haiti, filled with guns and drugs. And this is going to become an invasion. The next big invasion is going to hit Florida, not because they want to, like I said, transform the political landscape of Florida. And they need Democrats like Karine Jean-Pierre.
That's good. That's good. Josh, we're going to be just off of y'all, just kind of. Yep. All right.
Now, this is a small, very small part of a current invasion that will, like I said, create a lot of problems for Florida. That's why Matt Gaetz, who is a representative for the Republican Party, who comes from Florida, has torched the Biden administration officials that have been testifying and preparing for the massive surge of Haitian migrants that will come in the next few months. Because now we are focusing, of course, on Mr. Barbecue, on the collapse of Haiti, on the cannibalism that is going on all the terrible things. But the next problem will be here in the United States of America, courtesy, of course, of those destabilizing forces that want to push more migrants like Karine Jean-Pierre, because she probably comes from Haiti with a name like that, and she looks like a typical Haitian. Now, I don't want to say anything bad about Haitians, but these people have, they got their independence fighting against France using voodoo. And from that moment onwards, they always use voodoo. And if you basically sacrifice animals, sacrifice human beings, and practice black magic to the laws, well, don't then, don't be surprised if your country turns out to be a shithole. And you can't say shithole. A representative from the Republican Party said Haiti was a shithole. The Democrats criticized it. How dare you call it a shithole? So, this is the Democrats. They are preparing a new invasion.
They really are Democrats.
They are Democrats, like I explained in volume 4 of my confessions. And in volume 8, I also explain all the connections between Haitian voodoo and Freemasonry that people should check out. But check out also this video, this clip about Matt Gaetz, who is interrogating, let's say, these Biden admin officials, which gives some really idiotic answers, by the way.
The difference between Haiti and a failed state. It's telling, right? We can't really identify them because the gangs are in charge, the government has been thrown out, and as a Florida man, I'm deeply concerned about this wave of people that we're about to have, that we are having, coming from Haiti, and it will accelerate because I've gone to Opelika and I've spent time with the folks that are engaged in Operation Vigilant Sentry, and they say the #1 push factor that drives these Haitians into Broward County, Palm Beach County, where they don't disperse throughout the country, they stay in Southeast Florida, that driving factor is the deterioration of conditions in Haiti. So what are we doing to prepare for that wave and to ensure that these people are not paroled into the United States as the administration has done with people on the southern border, but instead are repatriated back at the dock at Port-au-Prince?
Go ahead. Congressman, we're doing a number of things to ensure that we're keeping track of the situation and we're prepared. At the moment, we have not yet seen large numbers, what we would characterize as a maritime mass migration. But we are alert to that
mass migration, though.
We are alert to that possibility. I think you're right that the driving conditions in Haiti could very well press more people. So we've recently approved some additional assistance that we can provide to the Coast Guard. I think that has now fully been approved. We'll be providing notifications if we haven't already to provide additional shipboard assistance.
Because I've talked to the Coast Guard, and what they say would really support them would be more naval vessels, would be DOD support. And because I think you correctly said that there is an anticipated mass migration here, there are specific legal authorities that we can access that I would implore you to access. Specifically, George W. Bush signed Executive Order 13276. And in that executive order, there is the ability for any president to designate an anticipated mass migration and then get gray hull naval vessels into the Straits of Florida to deter that migration and then to repatriate those people before they get to Florida.
But they don't want to stop this new invasion. They want people to accept it as part of the new normal, so then they can redraw the political landscape of one of the most Republican states in the United States of America, just like they have been doing with Texas, just like they have been doing with Arizona, successfully, sadly successfully, because now they are in charge of large chunks of Arizona that used to be a red state, and New Mexico, which of course it's basically in their hands and it's not gonna probably ever become a Republican reality. So here, remember guys, we could go towards an American Renaissance, but we could also go towards a terrible recession, and that's what's happening with Joe Biden. In my books, I explained in volume 8 the connections between voodoo and Freemasonry. And this barbecue guy who is in charge of the gangs of Haiti is actually a Freemason. He have shown it. I mean, I wrote an article about it and all the rest. But voodoo and Freemasonry have a lot of connections, especially also with the ancient and accepted Scottish Rite, which was born out of present-day Haiti. So we need people to wake up a little bit to this demonic reality, which I've also outlined in Volume 4. The Democrats are demons, are basically demons. What they are pushing is demonic. Their ideals are demonic. And so the only way to avoid, of course, their way, their influence, their way of life is to probably not have anything to do with them. And at the moment, this is possible, even here in California, where they are the majority. But the problem is that they're pushing more and more their BS towards us.
Well, they can't push it on us because we don't want it.
Now,
we don't want their BS. A lot of people are sick of it. A lot of people feel like I do. We're sick of shaking our head.
Let's not forget that that all that hoodoo that we have here in America, and all that tradition that we find also in Louisiana and so on, was carried partly from Haiti into there. When there was the war for independence in
That's
Haiti.
terrible.
So I mean, these demons.
Terrible, terrible, terrible demons. These are really bad ones, guys.
Yeah.
And they're all coming here. So get your armor of God on. We're going to fight.
Absolutely, absolutely. Now, regarding Europe, though, we have a similar problem. Because what's happening in Europe, and this is something that it's very similar, is that, we heard in the past week or so that Joe Biden wants to build a port in Gaza. They actually, the Navy, the people who are responsible for constructing this future port in Gaza have left with a ship, a Navy ship here from America, to go and construct it. But people don't understand that what they are doing in Gaza is to facilitate the invasion of Europe. They are gonna build a port in Gaza to facilitate mass migration of Palestinians to Europe. So that's why Joe Biden is supporting this idea. Now, there is very few people that are talking about it, but I found this article that seems to explain this by Paul Joseph Watson. Experts say Gaza seaport is to facilitate mass migration of Palestinians to Europe. Europe is very fragile at the moment. So if you bring more Islamic people, they will inevitably have problems. They will go and enrich already all the fragile equilibriums that we have in places like France, where you have a lot of Muslims, especially in those suburbs that are basically living like they are in some kind of Muslim country following the Sharia. The same is happening in Sweden and even in Great Britain. This is basically to facilitate the Kalergi plan that I've talked about many years ago on InfoWars. So an invasion is being planned to destabilize America from Haiti. Another invasion is being planned with Gaza. And at the moment, everybody's giving Netanyahu a hard time. And the current alternative media is actually, guys, I mean, if you go and check the current alternative media narrative, is all in favor of Hamas, of the Palestinians. And this is insane.
Yeah.
But you have to understand that Hamas was created by the Muslim Brotherhood, that was created by Freemasons, by the Western establishment. The Western establishment has created these elements to destabilize the Middle East, like Hamas. Hamas needs to be completely eradicated and eliminated. And for that reason, Netanyahu is doing what he's doing. But of course, Joe Biden is giving him a hard time. And we saw also Chuck Schumer who is himself Jewish, giving a hard time to Netanyahu for defending his country and reacting this way. Of course, a lot of people have died. But if you go and invade your neighbor and kill brutally and savagely people, rape them, do terrible things, the reaction has to be inevitably a reaction of war. It's not, there's no diplomacy with thugs that still hidden in one of their many tunnels the remaining hostages. Others have died. It's just said that 36 hostages have died in the hands of Hamas. So the countries around Gaza, are countries that don't want to welcome in any way these people. So what's happening is tomorrow there will be a meeting with Ursula von der Leyen and Giorgia Meloni from Italy in Cairo with the Egyptians who don't want these people. And then they will say, okay, you can send them to Europe. You can welcome them in Europe. And look at what happened when you got 1 million migrants arriving in Germany, what happened with all the rapes, the violence, and it was insane. I mean, even Christy and me, Christy were threatened in a club in Berlin by some thug, the Islamic thug from Iraq, Syria, whatever. I mean,
he's like, he shows me this thing on his arm. I thought he had a bomb. And he's just like, this is who I am. I mean, he was like down with America and all this stuff. You know? Like he hated me with a passion. He hated me with a passion, and I could feel it. And so, but he, you know,
it was, and this what happened in a club where I was actually working at the time in Berlin, just as a special appearance as a DJ, as I used to be a DJ there many years ago. They invited me, so I was just playing, and suddenly this guy comes into the DJ booth, and he has basically what he had was the tattoo, I think, of of either Iraq or Syria. I don't remember the symbol. I think that he showed.
I remember it. I totally remember it. It was a red bird.
And so this is basically what is happening with Europe, but at the same time, like I said, there is elements, destabilizing elements also here in America, and we have also many possible terrorists that are also crossing the border here near San Diego or in Texas.
And a lot of Chinese.
And a lot of Chinese.
There was a lot of Chinese.
A lot of Chinese, of course. A lot of Chinese that are also not really, potentially they could be also enemies that are infiltrated by the Chinese army to create acts of sabotage in our territory. So this is insane, but it's also insane to see certain people act in certain ways. Now, Kamala Harris, we all know, is an idiot, but the stepdaughter of Kamala Harris is apparently even more idiotic.
Oh, really?
Kamala Harris' stepdaughter is raising money for a group tied to October 7th slaughter of Jews in southern Israel. She used to be some kind of model. I don't know. She seems out of an horror movie.
Model for what?
For an horror movie. This is basically Hella Hemhoff, the fashion model, stepdaughter of Vice President Kamala Harris, is raising money publicly on her Instagram page for the United Nations Relief and Works Agency, which was basically that agency of the United Nations that was tied to the mass slaughter of Jews. And now, amongst other things, we have also the WHO, which is also being exposed for having, let's say, some ties with very bad things. I mean, we're talking here about health workers, no? And they raped innocents in Africa. The UN peacekeepers shelled civilians. This is basically what is happening here. The organization, we all know what the WHO did during the pandemic, and of course we will not comment it because there might still be some algorithm in place that will bring us down. I want to show you an accusation that was done publicly, because last week, an accusation, I think it was in the Australian Parliament that was done publicly, because last week the Associated Press reported on the WHO sex crime scandals, where WHO staffers sexually exploited girls and women during the Congo recent Ebola outbreak. At least 83 members of the WHO, supervised by that hideous guy that we had to tolerate for the whole course of the pandemic.
Fauci?
No, Fauci is something else. Well, Fauci was, let's say, are part of the corrupt pandemic milieu. I'm talking about the head of the WHO, the Director General, Tedros Adhanom Ghebreyesus, whatever his name. Let me show you what this gentleman here says about the WHO, because this gives us a clear idea of the corruption in an organization which Donald J. Trump stopped financing, but Joe Biden, as soon as he went in the White House, started to finance again with their own money. So I wanted to show the accusations that were done against the World Health Organization, which is, I think they're pretty heavy accusations.
Easy government continued the Morrison government's campaign to sign away Australian sovereignty to the United Nations World Health Organization, the WHO. Despite the attempt failing, WHO's power grab is ongoing. WHO is not independent. Their owners are corporate donors who contribute most of the WHO budget. WHO's current sugar daddy is Bill Gates, who has made billions out of his investment in the same vaccines that WHO promotes. Gates bought the WHO and they now recommend his products. It is that simple. The head of the WHO is Tedros Ghebreyesus, previously health minister of a terrorist organisation called the Tigray People's Liberation Front, where he used international aid to buy power and punish his enemies. The regions of Ethiopia that Tedros starved for medical supplies suffered disastrous cholera epidemics in 2006, 2009, 2011. Independent investigators found Tedros was, quote, fully complicit in the terrible suffering and dying that spread in East Africa. He's a killer. WHO is rotting from the head. Last week, Associated Press reported on the WHO sex crime scandal, where WHO staffers sexually exploited girls and women during the Congo's recent Ebola outbreak. Inhuman. At least 83 WHO staff engaged in abuse, including rape and forced abortions, with victims as young as 13. WHO refused to fire the perpetrators, using the absurd argument their actions didn't violate WHO's sexual exploitation policies because the victims were not receiving WHO aid. The raping part is okay with Tedros. This is the person who heads an organisation that many in government and academia want to elevate above the Australian Parliament. One Nation rejects the UN WHO power grab and will defend Australian sovereignty. So should you all.
Thank you.
This happened in Australia, and And of course, I hope as soon as Trump comes back in power in the White House, he will immediately kick them out and stop any financing of this organization. So, I mean, some people are talking about the fact that the US is signing possibly with the Joe Biden administration some kind of treaty in May. We hope that that treaty will, of course, not have the time to get implemented, because we know that it's a completely criminal organization. Just like any organization that comes from the United Nations. I mean, we saw it with the United Nations refugee organization there that we just mentioned in Gaza, that participated to the terrorist attack. There is, of course, also all the work which I have outlined with the Codex Alimentarius, the WHO and the FAO, that is also based in Rome, regarding food, agriculture, and all the manipulation games that ultimately want to propose us insects and other diableries to eat. If you want to learn more about insect witchcraft, Volume 9, of course, of my...
Volume 9 is really an incredible book. Like, out of all the books that you wrote, that one really made an impact on me.
And
it's really important. It was really an important book. I felt a strong,
It is definitely an important book. The people who have read it, they all had positive things to say about it. And it's, of course, preparing the ground for Volume 10 that will come out possibly in the end of April or May. And this book, Volume 10, well, I want to tell you more about it, but it's going to be groundbreaking, and it's going to really make you realize a lot about what's going on today in the Middle East. But let's move forward, because I want to go back to the Russian elections. Now, there is also some funny aspects of the Russian elections that are really kind of weird for us. What goes on in the Russian elections at times is also very folkloristic. They have singers, they have all kinds of things that are really weird. Let's go and check it out. This is basically what happens. People get married. So it's like an event.
She looks pretty.
Here we have, this is at the voting poll, people getting married and voting. Then we have singers, we have people reenacting some kind of historical... And then you have even, guys, this is something I think Tucker Carlson needs to know. He probably doesn't know. They had a cartoon...
like a stand-up.
Yes, that you can take a photo with at the voting pool of Tucker Carlson. Now, Tucker Carlson, I don't know if you know this. If somebody who is following me knows Tucker and wants to forward him this, I think it is pretty incredible. Tucker Carlson featured in a poll station in the Russian Federation during the current elections. And the whole family does it. They must really like him, eh? And then you have the singing.
Italians.
They love Italian 70s and 80s in Russia. They're still stuck in that kind of period.
They're still like totally stuck.
That is, of course, a Italian take of the current Russian elections. Let's go and see the more formal Russian take of the current Russian elections, because it is, of course, forbidden for us to really see what's going on inside Russia. But I wanted to pick up this clip from RT that gives you an idea. So here we are. This is basically RT, and RT, of course, is a state-driven organization, state-controlled news organization. We have a black presenter.
With their ballot. They've been trooping out and showing concern and enthusiasm.
Voter turnout surpasses 36.5%. Now we will also see who are the people who are challenging. Here we have Vladimir Putin. Then we have the other challenges. Now, who are the other challenges? A certain Vladislav Davinkov from New People Party, never heard of him. Leonid Slutsky from the Liberal Democratic Party. And then we have a representative of the Communist Party, because it still exists in Russia, you know, for those people who have nostalgia of all the communist times. We have Nikolai Kharitonov. This is basically the current situation in Russia with the elections that are taking place in one of the biggest countries in the world.
As an independent candidate, along with the other three contenders who are current national lawmakers representing three different political parties. So far, Vladimir Putin is the only candidate so far who has cast his ballot.
Now, he cast this ballot using the internet. Because you can actually vote with the internet, but then the whole platform crashed at one point. So he managed to vote, but then the platform crashed.
He opted not to go to the polling station, but voted remotely via the online service from his office. Now, let's head to our political correspondent.
So this was, of course, a little insight in the Russian elections. We wanted to give you this insight because we thought it was also very funny, that folkloristic moment. However, in the last 24, 48 hours, we had also many acts of sabotage, mainly driven by the Kiev, by the separatists, by Kiev, basically, by Ukraine. This is what has happened mainly in the Belgorod region, which borders with Ukraine, but also in other parts of Russia, with acts of sabotage that took place also in certain pool stations. Let's have a look. We have some explosions. We have a few drones.
Внимание от реального положения дел на линии боевого соприкосновения, где Россия. Как известно, сегодня в нашей стране, в соответствии с Конституцией России, начались выборы президента. С целью сорвать процесс голосования, запугать людей, хотя бы в приграничных с Украиной областях, киевский неонацистский режим задумал и пытается осуществить ряд преступных, демонстративных вооруженных акций. Это в первую очередь нанесение ударов по мирным населенным пунктам на территории России.
Болезни, вирусы, вы прекрасно понимаете, это же огромная плотность, которая здесь выращивается. Желтые, оранжевые черри.
Oh, that guy who was next to him was pretty strange. He had a mustache. He looked like Adolf Hitler. Okay, welcome to the Leo Zagami show with Leo and Christy. We want to thank once again our sponsors today, Bruce Kodish and Christy. Thank you so much to our sponsors. Please become a sponsor of this show, because if we have more sponsors, we might also bring you more shows. At the moment, of course, we didn't have that possibility, but also we invite the people who follow this show to sustain us by purchasing these books.
Nobody bought books this week, so
both my books and Christie's book. Actually, books, because Christie has volume 1 and 2.
Actually, all these stories that about a lot of the stories that I talk about on this show, I wrote about in this book, like the most exciting things that happened to us.
Yeah.
I wrote about it in here, and there's pictures and stuff.
Yeah.
And it's actually kind of funny. So there's just all kinds of stories about our adventures, and it's interesting. Well,
Absolutely.
my life, I think, is interesting, but I think you might too. So
I think that a lot of people will find it interesting to read certain.
It's definitely a book you don't want to
that,
put down, because it's really like
that we had together, that also, confirm the validity of everything I've been saying in my books. I mean, Christie was a witness for years to
persecution,
to the persecution, but also to the connections to the Illuminati, the Freemasons, all these things that people think, is Leo making things up? No, they are a reality, and Christie was there.
I lived it too.
Lived it through.
I survived.
Now, we know that living through these things is not easy. Now, Princess Kate Middleton, she is having probably a hard time. Something strange is going on. Yesterday, there was a former royal butler for Lady Diana who revealed that basically Kate Middleton is now with her parents in, I think, Norfolk, one of the English counties, and that everything is fine and dandy. But in reality, I don't know about that, because I think that there is a lot of strange things that are happening since it has not been seen in public from the 25th of December. And
they posted a picture of her last week on Mother's Day in the UK.
Yes.
And it was a doctored pic. And so the news agencies,
she
actually posted it herself on her Instagram.
But that is actually only the last of the many things that were outlined in this brilliant take given by 7 News Australia. Check this out.
It's the question that has taken over the internet. Where is Kate Middleton? Now, this is easy to dismiss as some sort of tinfoil hat conspiracy, but there are some very strange elements to this story, particularly when you look at the timeline of dates. So let's go back in time and do that. 12th of September 2023, Kate Middleton reveals a finger injury, which she claimed happened when she was trampolining with her kids. Innocent enough. Then 3 weeks later, on the 5th of October, Kate is pictured with 2 fingers still bandaged together.
Now that, to my knowledge, is chemotherapy. That is not simply that 2-finger thing, that is chemotherapy.
How do you know?
Because I saw people who do chemotherapy having that kind of thing. They have to take a piece of your skin from here. So,
together. Seems like it must have been a pretty rough trampolining injury. On the 22nd of December, Wills and Kate announced an official trip to Italy, scheduled
for thing. The announcement of visiting the Pope in Italy in the spring, which should be now, and it's not happening.
Early 2024. Now, if you're planning major surgery of any kind for early 2024, it seems unlikely that you would also announce a trip to Italy at the same time. Then, December 25, Christmas Day 2023, the last verified public appearance of Kate Middleton, and also of the 3 children. Everyone looks happy and healthy. December 28, 3 days later, an ambulance with police escort is seen flying out of Sandringham, where the royal family was spending Christmas. There was no statement from the royals as to what that was about.
Now, what was that about? What was that about?
January 17, 2024.
The Princess of Wales' condition potentially more serious, admitted to this London private hospital on Tuesday, undergoing planned abdominal surgery described as successful.
At this stage, the palace won't say exactly why the princess required surgery, choosing to keep her diagnosis private. But she is likely to stay in hospital for up to 2 weeks. All her engagements expected to be cancelled until after Easter.
It's announced that Kate Middleton is recovering in a hospital called the London Clinic. Now, during those 2 weeks, there are no reports of visits from her parents.
So, non riporti from her parents, siblings or children.
Where is she?
This is really weird.
Her siblings or her children. On January 18th, the day after...
They only visit one day, Prince William goes. Imagine, if you were in hospital, only one day Prince William goes.
I would kick your butt if you were my husband.
Yeah.
You better be there every day bringing me food.
Yeah. Look at this.
Surgery, Prince William visits the London Clinic. It was the first and last time he was known to visit, where she was allegedly in the clinic for another 2 weeks. On January 24, UK papers report that the inner circle of the Waleses were shocked to hear of Kate's surgery and that they weren't aware of any health issues.
Now, this is weird because the inner circle is the friends, the relatives.
But why would they, if she has cancer, why would they keep that a secret?
No, but I mean, it's just weird. It's not only about cancer here.
I don't think so. She might be dead.
No, but
what else could it be?
Well, we will, in a second, I will, of course, give you more information.
January 26, King Charles reportedly visits Kate in hospital, but still no known visits from her kids or parents or family. January 28, Spanish journalist Concha Calleja claims Kate Middleton is in an induced coma after her surgery, and she cited unnamed palace sources. The next day, on January 29,
induced coma.
Kensington Palace claims that Kate was discharged from the London Clinic to continue her recovery at home. At this point, Kate hasn't been seen publicly in over 35 days, and there are no photos of her exiting the hospital. On February 1, Palace aides slammed the Spanish journalist's story, which is a bit odd because they rarely comment on rumours. February 5, King Charles announces his cancer diagnosis, but doesn't say what it is or how bad it is. On the same day, UK Magazine published an article which said Kate's recovery would now be 9 months and not 3. 2 days later, on February 7, Prince Harry jets to London for a fly-in, fly-out hospital visit to see his dad. It lasted all of 45 minutes. Queen Camilla also visited the King a number of times. But you know who didn't visit? William. Nor did he issue any kind of public well wishes. On February 9, reports emerged that Kate is, quote, on the mend and has left Windsor to continue recovering at Sandringham. On February 20, Prince William puts out a statement on their joint social media account talking about the conflict in the Middle East, but there is no mention of Kate. William also used his solo monogram at the top, which he used to use before he was married. February 27, Prince William cancels his appearance and reading at his godfather's memorial service at the last minute, citing personal reasons. And in the same breath, he says that Kate is doing
marital problems.
Yeah, but the last time somebody had marital problems and ended up with Princess
and
Diana,
they killed her,
and she was killed. So
now it's a big
killed her.
deal for someone like the future King of England to pull out of an event like this at the last minute, and also just tack on that his wife is fine. Now at that point, it had been 9 weeks since Kate and their children had been seen publicly. That didn't pass the online smell test, so the next day, on February 28, the hashtag #WhereIsKateMiddleton started trending. The day after that hashtag started trending, on February 29, Kensington Palace released a statement addressing the online rumours. A spokesperson for Princess Kate said, "We were very clear from the outset that the Princess of Wales was out until after Easter, and Kensington Palace would only be providing updates when something was significant." The spokesperson reiterated the princess was, quote, doing well. On March 4, this photo emerged.
This photo is kind of weird, especially the way she looks down in the jaw area. Check this out.
It's seemingly Kate Middleton being driven by her mum in a black Audi near Windsor Castle. And it's safe to say that Kate looks different, particularly her chin. 6 days later, on March 10, the royal account posted this picture, and oh boy.
Well, this was basically the way to calm things down. They screwed it up big time.
Caption read, "Thank you for your kind wishes and continued support over the last 2 months. Wishing everyone a happy Mother's Day," and signing off with a cheerful C for Catherine. Surely that's going to keep everybody happy and leave questions about the princess's health answered, right? Wrong. Almost instantly, it became clear that the photo was edited, like very edited. and not very well either. And the major photo agencies who released these photos noticed that too, and just hours later issued what's called a kill notice because the source appeared to have been modified. The royal PR team went into overdrive, and then this tweet was posted by the social media account attributed to Kate. In a statement, Kate allegedly says, "Like many amateur photographers, I do occasionally experiment with editing. I wanted to express my apologies for any confusion that the family photograph we shared yesterday caused. I hope everyone celebrating had a very happy Mother's Day. C. For Catherine." What a mess. The internet went into overdrive after that announcement. Theories went viral, like this one, which made a rather striking case that the photo was actually taken in November of 2023.
And if you know anything about Kate Middleton, you know that people obsessively track her fashion. So of course I was able to find a bunch of blogs breaking down exactly what she was wearing. Now yeah, I know that the sweater in her picture was black, but stick with me because it's photoshopped. I think they changed around the clothes on the photo, but look at these boots and look at the pants. This is the exact sweater. It's from a company called Rice, I believe. And look at that neckline and look at this part right here. I've upped the exposure quite a lot so that you can see the ribbing better, but look how it lands on her like thigh area, the thickness of that belt of the ribbing, and then look at the turtleneck. Yes, I know a lot of turtlenecks look the same, but I do believe that this was photoshopped to be darker and it was just that cream sweater because they don't make it in another color. They make it in cream and in camel. Now let's look at the boots that she's wearing in this new photo. It's the same exact boots as this baby bank visit that she did with her kids.
And some claim that the image is actually a reworking of her Vogue magazine cover from 2016. And that brings us to March 11, and this vague paparazzi image, which shows William in a car seated next to someone who may or may not be his wife Kate. Now, Kensington Palace is standing by their claim that Kate will return to public duties after Easter. Whether or not that happens is yet to be seen, but one thing is certain. This situation is a mess, and it was made worse by Kensington Palace and their clumsy moves.
What do you think, Christy? What do you think?
I don't know. I really
Let's
don't.
go and check the alleged lover of Prince William, because at this point we have to check out who is this lover.
Cheating on her?
Okay, Prince William. This has been going on for a while.
Why? She's beautiful.
In fact, the alleged lover is not that beautiful, even if she claimed to be a
Well,
model.
so is Diana. So whatever.
Okay, so here it will be a repeating of the
They did it to
she's
Diana.
called Rose Hambury, and she's basically married to an important British aristocrat.
I like Kate. I hope she's okay.
So let's go and check Lady Rose Hambury, who bears a kind of a resemblance to Kate, but she's much less pretty than Kate.
Ew.
And actually, some say she's pretty ugly. So let's go and check. Apparently, the husband, who is one of the most important British aristocrats, knows about it. Sarah Rose Commandery, Marchioness of Commandery, a British peeress, former model and former political staffer. She's married to David Cholmondeley, 7th Marquis of Cholmondeley. Okay, so this is basically the alleged lover of Prince William, and there is a lot of talk of her at the moment in all the various magazines. I think there is also a pic that there is a pic here with the husband, the Marchioness. Here, what do you think, Christy, of this whole story? I mean, it's becoming very it's speculation, so we shouldn't really speculate.
I hope she's fine. I hope they didn't do to her what they did to Diana.
Yes, but definitely the situation is becoming highly suspicious.
They kill all the good ones.
So who knows? Some say, did Charles strike again? Because definitely what happened with Princess Diana it's still still very suspicious, and it's possibly a murder. No, it was
I
very
don't know.
suspicious
I don't know. I hope
incident.
she shows up after Easter.
So we are heading towards the end of our show, but of course I would like to end this show with this incredible, crazy event that took place on a subway in Brooklyn, in the subway.
I used to ride those subways all the time.
Yes, and
Probably
this,
that one.
but imagine the craziness of this story, which yesterday all the media has talked about, but without really specifying, the guy who then gets shot, it was actually his gun. He took it out and he got taken the gun and got shot with it. He is this black guy who was racist towards a guy who is apparently Arab, who he thought it was one of these illegal migrants arriving from the border. So all this escalated in a confrontation.
Wow, really?
Yes, and then unfortunately the guy himself got both stabbed by a girl who was there, and then shot with his own pistol. They didn't charge the guy who shot him, not him. He got shot and he's actually all stabbed, screwed up. I mean, he deserved it. Look what he did. Kind of. At one point, look what happened. No, look what happened. So the guy starts. There was the confrontation starts between, and so he beats up. He goes.
Everybody laughed.
No, but then it wasn't yet, you know. And now, then a girl arrives and starts it. He gets stabbed. That's the moment in which he gets stabbed by the girl. And you're going to see that he starts bleeding. But then it doesn't finish there. Because then he takes out the pistol. I got you. You stabbed me, right? You stabbed me, right? You stabbed me. He's saying, you stabbed me, and then he gets the pistol, and then he gets shot with his own pistol. The guy was really...
No, I'm got it now. I'm got it now. I'm got it now. So, get that all the way down, baby. Let me out. 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 Let me out.
So in the end, the guy basically who had a go at the stranger, thinking that he was some kind of migrant, got both stabbed and shot.
Well, it's just terrible.
And it's just insane.
Anyway,
okay, guys. Well, I mean, this is what happens today. Well, it happened actually on Thursday in New York. And that was a subway that Christine knows very well because you are from there.
Yeah.
I guess that back in your days it was a little bit more tranquil.
No, it wasn't. It was in the 80s and it was really bad.
Yeah. Okay.
But I survived.
But you survived.
But we survived.
Okay, guys. Thank you for following today's broadcast with Leo and Christy Zagami. Here is Rambo. Hey, Rambo. Now, this was a very special show, which I would like to remember today, Saturday, March 16th of the year of the Lord 2024, because we also shared with you for the first 20 minutes my American citizenship, which...
he doesn't like to be on camera.
He doesn't like to be on camera?
Not really.
Why is that?
I don't know.
Rambo, why you don't like to be on camera? Are you talking about it? He likes it, actually. He likes it. You don't like it or you like it?
He's trying to escape.
He's trying to escape?
Yeah.
Okay, guys, here we go.
Can't dance with him. I gotta put him back. And
Okay. So, I am American now, ladies and gentlemen.
Here comes the devil. Oh, here comes the devil. Oh, here comes the devil.
Oh, the devil with the devil, says I.
Shh, look out for the devil. Look out for the devil. Look out for the devil.
Oh, the devil with the devil, says I. You're so afraid of old man Satan. Now, why don't you stop your hesitating? You're gonna be a long time dead, so the devil with the devil, says I. You're always giving me the dickens, telling me that life's no easy pickings. But just as long as I have fun, why, the devil with the devil, says I. You can
share this video, press the like button, and of course we will see you next week. Today we're also on X. I broadcast it on X, yes. No, my own Illuminatorum Universale. I don't have a little Zagami profile that is active at the moment, but I experiment. So experiment also with X. This video will also be in the coming hours on Bando Video. America! God bless America! This is the greatest country in the world, and we love it!